And a very good afternoon. Welcome to Issues and Attitudes, everyone. My name is Jeff Owens, Interim General Manager at WEIU. My guest today is Mr. Scott Smith, the Charleston City Manager. Welcome, Scott.
Good afternoon, Jeff.
I'm going to have you pull that microphone just a little closer to you, my friend.
Got it.
We were scheduled to have Mayor Brandon Combs in. He just texted in to Scott and said he got busy, so unfortunately the mayor won't make it today. We'll try to have him on later this fall. Scott, I guess everybody's talking pandemic and everything that's been going on since you were last on here, and we talked to Brandon and you as well. But with the Charleston School District's announcement Friday that they're going to online learning, I think we'll start there and get your thoughts from a city's perspective, what that means for the city.
Well, I mean, obviously it's a district decision, but I think out of caution, the board made the decision to push back the start of school. And I think some of that was related to the issuance of technology to the school children. I've been keeping up on Superintendent Gallardo's notices to the families that have kids in school. I still have one in school. She'll be a junior this year. So I'm aware of that, but I know they're trying to get the technology rounded up and get that issued out to all the students. I got an email this morning about they'll be scheduling times to pick that technology up so they can start their remote learning and issue out some remote devices for internet use as well. So
it's a lot easier having a junior, than having younger ones where you have a lot of other things that are going on. Eastern Illinois University starts in a couple of weeks. Did the city plan for the students to come back, or how's that relationship go?
We have a working relationship, obviously, with multiple departments out here, and our team communicates with his or her respective department head. But we do a lot of work with university, and obviously, especially the first couple of weeks with the students, where we typically will
do door-to-door and some of that. So it'll be somewhat affected, I'm sure, this fall a little bit due to COVID, but we're still going to collaborate all we can. Of course, Diane with athletics and everybody else. And as you know, there's a lot of things up in the air regarding athletics, not only at the local level, at the high school level, but also on campus. So, obviously we're going to do what we can to continue to advertise and promote and engage with the campus all we can. We're in this together, and I know the mayor works closely with President Glassman, and we're doing all we can to collaboratively work on a plan to continue to keep our community and our students safe.
And speaking of Charleston athletics, I guess the breaking news within the last 45 minutes or so, Teotopolis is going to join the Apollo Conference for the 2021 school year only, and it's based on, they can only go so far to play. I don't have any more news on that, but I thought we could at least break that news. And you being a Charleston guy, what are your thoughts about that?
Well,
they're going to be good at sports.
Yeah, absolutely. They always are. So I don't know whether I like that or don't like it, but no, Teotopolis has always been really, really good in sports, in particular, I think, basketball, both girls and boys basketball. They've been phenomenal at that. So, but yeah, I mean, these are challenging times, and I'm sure that T-Town and many other schools like that are having to make some decisions to, align themselves with some other conferences that maybe are right in their backyard for travel reasons.
There you go. It seems that we joked off air, but it's really serious when you think about it. It seems like there's new rules being put in place all the time, and a lot of it comes from Springfield or Washington. As a city administrator for the city of Charleston, and I know Mayor Combs isn't here today, this may be more for him, but I think you can answer it. How do you guys work on the fly, knowing that every day, jokingly or not jokingly, that there's a new rule that's coming around that affects business or how you perform?
Well, it's kind of interesting you say that. I'm often talking with my elected officials and the mayor about every day is a new day. And so I spend a tremendous amount of my day trying to keep up with everything that changed in Springfield or elsewhere the day before, and sometimes even during the day.
Yeah.
And how it relates to the city and how it impacts our staff and impacts our operations and what's going on. And quite frankly, it's difficult to consume it all. You just do the best you can and surround yourself with good people, and we have great people, and I think we're all working well as a team to try to do all we can to keep the doors open, but yet follow the intentions of the governor's orders and align ourselves with the CDC and work with the county public health department and everyone in this community that's trying to do everything the right way.
Lincoln Avenue in Charleston is being worked on. I know it's a state project, but it obviously affects everyone in the city. Do you know the timeline and what they're doing right now? And I guess the big question everybody's asking me to ask you is Is it going to be done by the time Eastern gets in session?
It will not be done by the time Eastern gets in session. That's for sure. But it's on schedule. In fact, in talking with Kurt, we've had some good weather. I mean, obviously it rained a little bit this morning, but the contractor's doing a phenomenal job. We do have obviously a role in this. What you're seeing out there right now is the initial binder coat of asphalt, and so all the milling's done for the most part. I mean, there'll be some additional milling, I think, on the north and south legs that'll need to be done, but all those signalized intersections had all that curb and gutter and ramp and ADA work that needed to be done. Most of that's done. The signalized intersections, all the traffic post and everything that needs to be done there is at the shop getting painted, and those will go up sometime in September. And I was mentioning to you off the air that we're also looking at illuminated LED street signs on the east and west legs of Lincoln Avenue at a certain number of locations, primarily probably from 4th to 9th, but we may expand that to Division.
With the Panther logo on them,
With the Panther logo on them. So I know Kurt Busher, our Director of Public Works, is working closely with the state on that. So we're pretty excited about that. That'll certainly change the appearance of Lincoln Avenue and make it easier for students, guests, families, visitors to town to navigate to get to campus and to some of the key areas of campus, like the sports complexes and things like that, where we tend to have a lot of visitors that might come to town. But it will certainly dress up Lincoln Avenue, and we thought it was time to try to do something a little special. So very
cool. What are the city's other fall plans in terms of some city projects that the guys and the gals will be working on around town?
So if you've, and I know Lincoln Avenue's a mess, but we've got a crew out in front of Old Main right now, pouring in a new widened sidewalk combination bike path there that will accommodate bikes and pedestrians alike. And so they're busy finishing that up, and that's from 7th down to 4th Street, and I think they're on the far west end of that project right now. We've still got crews out doing concrete patching in the community. We did a lot of work here around campus over here on 9th. We've got on 4th Street. Yep. We poured a new sidewalk along the Williams softball complex there, pretty much down from the old archery range all the way down to almost the softball complex there. We've got some additional work to do out there in front of LSD, across from Marty's. So there's still quite a bit of sidewalk and patching work left to do for those crews, and some of that around campus. So once the guys get done over there in front of Lincoln, I'm sure they'll come over here and finish up what they've got to do around campus. We've got a lot of guys out working at the lake still. We are in the process of finishing up what we call Dam A. We are in the process now of getting closer to pouring in the new boat ramp and finishing up that paved area and the parking area and the upper sidewalk area, the new paved parking area over by the restroom facility by the Alex Russell Pier. A lot of work left to do, but so that'll take us deep into the fall to get most of that done.
Okay. I want to go back to talking a little bit about the pandemic, and everybody's talking about that anyway. How worried are you, and what's kind of the game plan for the city if there is a serious outbreak when I guess the EIU students and everything kind of starts happening here in Charleston this fall?
Well, one of the things we're doing is coordinating our efforts and staying in constant communication with the County Public Health Department and Diane and her team. We are in regular communication. Obviously, certain members of our staff more so than others, but I know the mayor, myself, and members of our staff, along with staff from EIU and others, work very closely with the Public Health Department, Dr. Ranchero, Sheila Simons, and quite a few others. We've already had meetings, continue to have meetings to discuss strategies and plans for if that were to occur, if that were to happen. We hope not, but it's always a possibility.
What about the city's presence for the fall? Will you guys try to curb the outdoor parties and college students outside, or will there be more of a police presence, or are you guys just go status quo and act on the fly? What will be
I think
plan?
that's going to come from conversations with university personnel and administration here first, and how best to handle those. There's meetings planned for this month to talk about some of those issues and how best to approach that. What direction will we get from the university? What does the university want to see? What does our team want to see? What's the mayor want to see? So, I can't say for sure how we're going to address that but that's something that we're going to be talking about in the next week or so.
What do you think? Well, I guess this is really for the mayor, but I'm going to ask you because he's, I guess, he's the mayor, so people come up to him all the time. But as city manager, maybe even what Dr. Combs, what are people asking about most? Is it pandemic? Is it sports? Is it EIU? Is it Charleston? What are they talking about most in town?
Well, I'm not going to speak for the mayor, but just in conversations with the mayor, I think that as the university starts to roll back in, we've already got students coming in and getting into their rental homes for the semester or for the school year. It's just concerns about what if and concerns about the potentials that might be out there, that if we get everybody back on campus, if we get the school kids back in the schools. There was a lot of talk about that several weeks ago. Really got more heated here in the last few weeks, but obviously the district's made a change and they're going to remote learning, which is again why the school district pushed their start back a couple weeks. And so again, I think people are listening. I think they're collaborating, doing what they can to keep everybody safe. The university, obviously, they'll make their own decisions with respect to what they think is best. But again, we're in communications with the folks here on campus and along with public health and the school district and everybody to try to work together to do what we can to ensure the safety of our citizens. That's first priority.
What about the budget? Coming from Springfield and Charleston, where do we stand right now in the budget 2021?
Well, again, it's probably a little bit too early to know for sure and for certain how things are going to pan out. We're concerned, like everybody else is, and how that's going to affect us both short-term and long-term. And there's still grant funds out there that are available. We're going to try to tap to help us with expenditures related to COVID. We haven't quite worked through all those yet. In fact, I've got a meeting later this week with representatives to talk about those matters. So it's a little early for that. But yeah, obviously there's certain lines in the budget that are going to be affected.
Did you guys receive money from the?
We have an allotment for the CARES Act that we are able to access. But again, everything goes through DCO, and so.
And you can't use. I heard you can't use that for payroll, correct?
You cannot use it for certain kinds of payroll. That's correct.
Yeah. So that really hurts because that's one of the bigger expenses, which would be nice, and which is really weird because a lot of the I call the COVID CARES Act really allowed small businesses to use that for payroll. But were they worried about cities using payroll? Do you know anything about that?
I don't know. I just know that there are particular rules related to payroll and the use of payroll, and the people that are going to be assigned for payroll reimbursements have to be specifically signed under a set of rules related to COVID only. So.
The other question I have to ask you, I had my mask on right before the show, but to do the show I have to have it off. Scott still has his on. And I won't make fun of it that it's green and he's a Charleston guy and I'm a Mattoon guy, but I won't go there. Masking. A lot of stuff's been talked about mostly it's ramped up the last couple weeks, including Governor Pritzker, over the weekend. What will the city do for people that are individuals that refuse to wear a mask and/or businesses that won't follow the masking guidelines? Will they do anything or not?
That's not up to me to decide. I think that everybody is for the most part complying. Obviously. Regardless of what we do, people are not going to adhere to the governor's orders or the CDC's recommendations. We've been seeing that since day one, and I'm not here to debate, the rules and regs. But there's been a push by the chamber and a push by the city, by the university, by the county public health department. Almost it seems like a daily push, encouraging everybody to wear their mask. Certainly in places where you're interacting with the public, retail, restaurants, those sorts of things. And by and large, I've been pretty pleased with what I'm seeing. Yes, there have been times when I've been in different stores and retail establishments or restaurants where people are not perfect in their compliance, but I think it's far better now than it was, say, 30 days ago.
There you go. You spoke of the chamber there. Sad news, Jess and her husband are going to be moving out of town,
yes.
So we'll be looking for a new chamber director here soon. Hate to see her go. She had a lot of energy, and I thought she brought a new vibe to the chamber the last couple of years.
Yeah, I hate to see her go, but she's got an opportunity here, and her and her husband have an opportunity to head west, and we wish her the very best. And yes, as you mentioned, it's a sad day for the chamber, but it'll open up an opportunity for somebody to step in and take over and and hopefully do some great things for the chamber and for Charleston.
And where are we? I know Ramin, who's doing some work for us today on the show, the Butterfly Initiative, that the video and everything. What's the status of that right now?
So they had the. Are you talking about out the lake?
Yeah.
So yeah, they just wrapped up. You've probably seen the Facebook postings or any of the social media stuff where. There was a period of time where people could submit photographs. In fact, I saw a collage of photos, I think it was over the weekend, how many different species of butterflies were taken at the lake. It's impressive. It's incredible. And if you haven't been down to the lake and driven through some of those native areas out in front of the Red Barn or down around past the pavilion, it's incredible if you just stop, maybe even sit and eat your lunch at the pavilion and see how many different types of butterflies that you see flying around in those areas. It's, until you really sit down and take a look for 15 or 20 minutes,
and
you
how
don't
many
realize.
acres is it 20 acres is what I heard, or something like that?
Well, you're talking about total acres
Yeah.
that they have in different plots.
Yeah.
So we've even got one up by the library. We've got an area up by the library. There's several different areas where those native grasses and plants and flowers and things have been planted. So we don't have 20 acres right there at the lake,
The
but
total,
we've got.
maybe.
But yeah, and they're planning for more. So
That's cool. Now, will there be any fall city-sponsored sports outside? Or I know the summer stuff all got canceled, but I know now as we move towards fall, there's fall events.
I think
do we
what
know?
we're talking about is having conversations with a few of our affiliates, and obviously Brian and his team are looking at some of the governor's recent changes with respect to rules and regs related to sports and sports activities. And so again, you mentioned earlier, it seems like it's always a moving target. We started kind of going down a path of we think we can do this, and then we find out, we can't. So, yes, we're looking at having some opportunities for youth to engage in some sports. Specifically, I can't say for sure which ones we're going to offer, but we are offering the ones that are down in that level 1, level 2 area where we could maybe offer some camps or clinics. That's what we're looking at.
And the middle schools are going to have sports, knock on wood,
Correct.
as of now. And some of the fall sports are going to go ahead and happen at, Charleston and Mattoon. I think cross country, golf, and tennis, right?
Correct.
Yeah, so
Correct.
which is kind of neat. So kids get to do a little bit. So we'll see some outdoor activities this fall, which I think is much needed. But again, it all comes back to you. You still got people going to those events, and with the rules of the 50, and that's been one of the biggest questions. I'm going to put you on the spot again, and I apologize. But with these 50 people allowed at an event or in an area, do we know what the separation is to the next set of 50 people? That's been the confusing part.
Well, like
We've
for
been talking-
example, if you had a couple of ball diamonds at a location where you can get separation between the two groups, that's okay.
All right.
But what the concern is and you've been a coach,
Yeah.
know, the concern is that we've got 15 kids on each team, that's 30, and they all bring somebody. We've exceeded that 50 allowable cap. We're not even counting the umpires. We're not counting the people that are up selling concessions or working the event. It's very easy to get to 50.
Yeah.
That's the problem. Then you've got another set of teams and families and parents and coaches that are going to follow in, say, game 2, particularly like a tournament.
Yeah.
And so before you know it, you're quickly exceeding 100 to 150. So that's been the problem. But if you have multiple diamonds where you can clearly separate, then you can have, even back to those skills clinics or camps,
Yeah.
you can manage that by spacing them out at, say, 2 different fields or two different locations, and I think still, in the spirit of the rules and regs, comply.
Okay.
It's not easy, Jeff. It's definitely not easy.
Craziest time ever, man. This 2020.
Yeah, it's not easy. And then getting those parents to comply in the bleachers requires posting and separation and signage and putting up some tape. I've seen that at a couple places this summer, and so, again, most parents are pretty good about complying. I went to a couple of ball games this summer, and parents were sitting down along the sidelines, social distancing. A few were in the bleachers, but a lot of them were more or less kind of separated families, maybe in 4 or 5 lawn chairs, and then another 10 feet in another group. But in some locations, that's easier said than done.
Yeah. We're talking to Charleston City Manager Scott Smith today about all things Charleston. Mayor Combs is supposed to be here. He got called to another meeting, so we'll hope to have Brandon back later on. Scott, we're about 10 minutes away, 9 minutes left in the show. What other things are happening in Charleston maybe that I don't know about or some people don't know about that you want to talk about today? I've been hogging a lot of the conversation.
I think people are excited about what's going on Lincoln Lincoln Avenue. Not just Lincoln Avenue, from Charleston to your fair city, we call Mattoon. And I knew that you would get in a dig about this green mask.
It looks very good.
Yeah, it looks pretty nice on me, I think. Next time I'll be sure to come in with a blue one or a red one. No, I think the work that was done between Charleston and Mattoon was also much needed and has vastly improved that segment and
the
how
bike
that
path?
looks.
Yeah.
On
Yeah.
16. You get off 57 and you're heading towards Charleston. Boy, what a beautiful stretch there that we've got. And then you improve Lincoln Avenue. I mean, you could be on new pavement basically once you get off and get onto 16 all the way through the east side of Charleston. So I can't tell you how important that is for just the appearance, the drivability, the way things look and feel when you come into town. We've talked about that for years. Lincoln was like riding in a log flume, So I just think a lot of things like that affect that first impression, that first step at the door, the first knock, whatever you want to call it, and just that alone really should improve the vibe that we have on Lincoln Avenue. So I think that's really exciting, and I certainly don't want to take away from our crews. Our guys and the folks in really all departments, guys and gals everywhere, have been trying to do their best to keep the city building open, to keep our doors open, keep our police and firemen safe. I don't think people realize just how difficult and challenging that has been to keep our police and firemen safe and our public works people safe and continue to try to be productive. It's been a challenge.
Yep.
People have had to try and do some new things, and to say that it hasn't been challenging, it's really what's consumed us. But I will say, and I'm so proud, that our people have continued to work. We've been very, very productive, got a lot of good things done, and knock on wood, we've weathered the storm pretty well.
As you look towards 2021, are there any big city projects or city works things that are going to be happening?
Well, I think just a wrap up of the stuff at the lake. We've got another project on the bike path that's up for review right now, which would be the construction of a parking area and some facilities there at Loxa Road, which will also complement the bike path. We didn't talk about that.
Yeah.
The bike path is paved now between Charleston and Mattoon.
And all reports are glowing so far.
Glowing reports. There's some additional work left to do on that project, yet to be done, some signage and shoulder work and striping, which the contractor will get back in there and do shortly. So, but boy, what a difference that has made, and I can't believe the number of people that I'm seeing out on that path after work and at night and on the weekends. It's incredible. And I had to be in a conversation with members of my own family talking about riding the bike path from Charleston to Mattoon, over the weekend. So it is being heavily used, and what an improvement that's going to be. And like we've said all along, being able to essentially get off on a train there or a bus and be able to get onto a bike and ride clear through over to Charleston to EIU, out to the lake, and hopefully eventually someday maybe even all the way down to Fox Ridge. What an opportunity that is for our community and our area to have such a draw like that.
Butterflies and bikes in Charleston.
Butterflies and bikes, you got it.
You would have ever thought, right?
Yeah.
There you go. I know you won't answer the question, but I'm going to ask anyway. Any whispers of new business or anything happening?
Well, no. Nothing that I can share, Jeff. But obviously with COVID, that's
and it has slowed down a lot of stuff.
That's impacted some things, but I still think we've been busy and active and continue to receive phone calls. I know Mr. Pamperin and his team get the majority of those, and so we've done a lot of TIF work up around the square. We'll continue to do that. We wrapped up our police department project since I was last in here, so the lobby and the new front area is all done. We've been busy. So, again, I think there still seems to be a high interest in Charleston, and we want to see that trend continue and hope that, we can move past this and move beyond this and still be as good or strong. I felt like before the pandemic hit, and I think you and I talked about this, we were kind of on an upward.
I thought the whole
trend.
county was on a very upward trend with the stuff going out there on Route 16 and Charleston with everything. So yeah, it hit at obviously a terrible time. There's never a good time, but as we move forward, we I think there's still a positive future. We just need to get through these next hopefully few months or weeks or whatever it is until there's end in sight. One of the things I've noticed, and you've talked about the police department a couple of times, and it's the same way in Mattoon, that's where I live, is that has there been a noted I don't know what the word, I'm trying to find the right word. It seems like there's a bigger police presence being seen in town in terms of not really the police on moving, but like just stationary, not really looking for speeders, just kind of let people know that they're out there. Has that been something, or is it just me making note of a police presence during a pandemic? Or
I don't know that we've changed our protocols at all,
Okay.
Jeff. Honestly, they may have in Mattoon, and I can't say for the Mattoon PD, but for us, again, we're obviously out there. We're active. We assign our different officers to different sections of town, and so I won't say that we've really necessarily changed anything, but maybe they have in Mattoon. I can't say.
I don't know. I just maybe it's
sure.
just me noticing things more. I don't know, or getting older and I know I'm making sure I don't speed or whatever.
I mean, we've been changing over the color appearance of our squad cars. We went to kind of a black and blue appearance. We had some gold in the old logos, and so that could be part of it. I don't know. But I mean, that's certainly possible in Charleston because the EIU cops and their cars and our cars look similar.
Maybe that's it.
And that might be it.
Yeah.
That could be it for sure.
Okay, a couple minutes left with Scott Smith. You talked a little bit about Lake Charleston, and can you, when you growing up in this town and how Lake Charleston looks now, I mean, if you took a picture, you wouldn't even think it was the same place.
No, and growing up here again, I can still remember my family taking me down to the lake, and really technically now what I'm talking about would be just above the spillway and swimming there on a beach. And back in the day when we had the houses out there and everything else, and we had a teen center out there too when I was a kid. And so, yes, things look completely different, but it's so great to see the community back out there using it. Again, I've said this before, you'd be hard-pressed not to go out there at night or on the weekend, even during the day, during the week, and not see the parking lots full, people out exercising, sitting in the Adirondack chairs, using the pavilion. They've got their hammocks hung up out there in the hammock stands. They're walking the bike path, walking the trails. We put the new kayak launch in and the new dock there, right there at the boat ramp. They're using that. I don't know that Rural King can even keep kayaks in. I mean, I see them come in and they're stacked there along the south side of Rural King, and then I go by, it seems like a few days later, I'm sure it's longer than that, maybe not, and the kayaks are gone. The kayaks and canoes are gone. We've seen more people kayaking and canoeing out there than I can ever recall.
When is the next city council meeting? And
next Tuesday.
Next Tuesday?
Week from Tuesday, yeah.
There you go. About a minute and a half left. We'll ask unrelated fun questions, all right? Your first grade teacher, do you remember who it was?
Mrs. North.
Oh, very good. Your leadership style, Scott Smith, in one word.
In one word?
Yeah, I was trying to put you on the spot a little.
That's a tough one, Jeff.
I was going to say attentive. You're very attentive to
Well,
your people.
I was going to say detail-oriented. How
There you
about
go.
that?
There you go.
But that's 2 words.
Well, that's why I said attentive, to try to help you out there. Do you have a pet, and what's the name?
I have a pet. His name is Bentley. He's a dog.
There's a dog.
He's a Morky Poo.
1 year from now, EIU in Charleston will be?
Better than they are today.
Very good. That was what I hope your answer would be. Your mentor from any type of thing, college, high school, business community, your mentor.
Probably my dad.
Good. All right. Do you have a hobby?
I used to golf. You might recall that. And I did a lot of fishing, too. I don't really do either of those.
Yeah, I've given up on golf a long time.
Family would be my hobby now.
There you go. Well, the Cardinals play another game this year.
You know, Jeff, I was waiting for that question. I'm not sure.
This is the craziest thing ever, isn't it, with everything going on? So
I know
Scott,
my Cub fans were really getting some digs in on me over the weekend.
There you go, yeah. So, and they're not going to play for the next few days either,
Right,
so there you
right.
go. Breaking news today, if you didn't hear, Teotopoulos is joining the Apollo Conference. We broke that today on Issues and Attitudes. We hope to have Dr. Brandon Combs back sometime this fall. Scott Smith, great to see you, my friend.
Same to you. I always enjoy it.
So we are Hitmix 88.9, WEIU, and Year 13. Everybody have a great day. We will talk to you soon.